Hi guys, welcome to a new sketchbook session. I am trying to fill this sketchbook page. Maybe I'll do a bit more, but my main goal is to finish this one. So yeah, feel free to take your sketchbook or whatever drawing you're working on or painting and draw along as I talk a bit. So I have actually tried recording this video for almost an hour. I've had many attempts and I hope this time will be the final attempt. The reason why I am struggling with recording this video is because of the topic I want to talk about, which is mental health. And I am sharing some of my experiences. So first, I am right away gonna say I will not talk about the super heavy stuff like self-harm and the other thing that starts with S, because in my opinion that is something too heavy for myself to talk about and share my experiences with or whatever. And yeah, so I've had my fair share of mental health problems in life, as everybody does. And the thing I've most recently been struggling with is the breakup that I am going through. So my ex and we broke up in almost a month ago. Yeah, it's been almost a month, which is a little weird, honestly. I have my ups and downs with that, and since yesterday it's been a lot more of a down than in the past 2 weeks, which is mainly because I've been distracting myself a lot and doing some escapism as a way of dealing with everything. So I don't really have to think about it because I have come to the conclusion that I cannot process the breakup on my own. That is something I have to do in therapy, because I have tried venting to friends, talking to friends, and in the beginning it helped, but now it doesn't help anymore. Even when I vent on my close friend's Instagram story, it does not help me anymore. Sometimes it even makes me feel worse. So that is not something I am probably gonna do anymore. Yeah, that's what I have therapy for, because therapy is the only place where I can actually process the breakup. And I only have therapy once a week, so it's gonna take a bit until I can talk about it again, because today is Saturday and I have therapy on Friday, so 6 more days. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the breakup itself, just about the way I deal with it, I guess. I did talk about that a bit now, and that's all I want to say about it, I think, because I just don't really know. So this year has been rough for me emotionally. It has been a mix of good and bad. I wouldn't say it's the worst year I've ever had, but it certainly wasn't the best one. It started in January because, well, actually it did start last year, because I think in October or November I was going through disassociation, derealization, I don't really know. I think it was derealization. And yeah, that wasn't fun, but at some point it got better, which is cool. And then this year in January I had a burnout. I don't remember if ever before that I had a burnout, but I think that was my first one ever. And it was awful because I just laid in bed and I cried and I just didn't want to have to do stuff anymore. I didn't want to have to study. I didn't want to have to be functional. I just wanted everything to stop so I could get a break, because I was the one who stressed myself with school, because this year I had my finals and graduated from high school, or the German equivalent to high school, secondary school. And yeah, when I had that burnout, I think it started on a Friday, and over the weekend I had tried to have a nice time, but stuff happened and whatever, and on Monday I noticed I couldn't do it anymore. So I let myself be put into a mental hospital. I didn't stay there for long. I stayed there until the next day, so the Tuesday afternoon, because the therapist there asked me if I wanted to leave again, and there was a COVID case on the station I was on, and also I just felt like that therapist didn't really understand me, or didn't really try to help me, I guess, because I didn't know, it just didn't feel right being there. And I have a great therapist outside of there, so I where I go to every week, that therapist is really great. I've been in therapy there for almost 3 years at this point. And yeah, so I left again and I stayed at home that week. I didn't go to school for the rest of that week, and I recovered as best as I could. And I had another burnout at some point this year. I don't remember when or why, but I also know I was emotionally drained a lot because I was numb to positive emotions. I could feel awful, I could feel sad. I don't remember if I felt sad, but I did feel really bad a lot for different reasons. I was just emotionally numb to positive emotions. I did not feel happy. I did not feel joy. I did feel nice about things, but most of the time I would feel either numb, or I wouldn't really feel about stuff. I would more like, no, I'm supposed to feel that way about it. I'm supposed to feel sorry for people. I'm supposed to worry about people. I'm supposed to be happy about this. I'm supposed to appreciate this. But about most things, I didn't feel that way. I still do sometimes. There's still stuff I struggle with, but it's gotten a lot better. The first time I remember truly being happy again was in July. I believe I was happy on my birthday, but it wasn't that true happiness, I'd say. The first time I remember experiencing true happiness again was when I met one of my favorite YouTubers at an anime convention. I met Drawing Like a Sir. And I hold that memory so close to my heart, because he's one of my inspirations. He does inspire me sometimes, but mostly he's a motivation to me. His videos make me laugh so much, and I am very active on his Discord server. And yeah, finally meeting him was such a nice feeling. I remember being really nervous on that day, and I repeatedly told my friends, guys, I can't go there. I'm so scared. I'm such a pussy. I can't go there. I can't talk to him. And then I did. I gave him a fan art I made for him, and a watercolor pen with a color that I thought he'd enjoy. And just thinking about that moment when I first talked to him, that makes me happy again. Remembering that is really nice. I think I stopped by at his convention stand like at least 10 times that day. I bought stuff from him. I bought posters, postcards, and I also bought a conhon, which is like a commission you get on at an anime convention. And I remember when he gave me that drawing, he asked me if I like it, and I was speechless, like putting my head in front of my mouth, staring at that drawing, almost crying even. That was such an amazing moment for me, and because I was speechless, he said, "Oh, wait, I'll take that as a yes." And that was such a cool moment. Oh god, it was such a great day, honestly. When I and later that day I also got an signature from him, an autogram in my sketchbook, and yeah. I also took a photo with his brother, who is a really cool person too, and yeah, that was nice. I'm still super happy about that drawing. And okay, here's a fun fact. I know I wanted to talk about mental health in this video, but I am kind of drifting off. I will get back to it. I just want to... I think when you talk about mental health, you don't... Not only the bad stuff counts, but also the good stuff. And here I am talking about good stuff that made me happy, because that's something I kind of need right now. At that anime convention, drawing like a sir... You know what? I'm just gonna call him Marcel, because that's his name, and yeah. Drawing like a sir is a bit long to say. He did a live drawing thing. So basically there was a stage and they had camera, microphone and all, and he sat there and he drew there, and my friends and I, we sat first row and watched him draw, and he talked about being thirsty. And there was a guy dressed up as a Pepsi can, not like the can, but he had a onesie that was the Pepsi can design, and he brought him a Pepsi. He was a Pepsi man. And then Marcel joked about that next time he should bring a straw. And one of the people I was there at the convention with, just a bit before that, we joked about the fact that she always has a glass straw in her bag, because who would need that? Where do you need a glass straw when you go out? And when Marcel joked about getting a straw, I looked at that friend, and she offered to give me that straw so I could bring it to him, and I was too shy to go there alone, but she ended up running with me, and then I brought him the straw. And actually, Marcel's brother had recorded that moment, like getting the Pepsi and me bringing the straw. And Marcel he uploaded that video on his Instagram story, on his YouTube story, and on his TikTok. So there is a video, if you can look for it, of me running there bringing him a straw. I love that video. It's also on Instagram in my story highlight called Conventions, if you want to see. You know what? I'm just gonna edit it in here.
Nächstes Mal Strohhalm. Was man nimmt? Ach, danke schön.
And yeah, that was a fun moment. I really cherish that day, because it was a really good day. One of the best days of this summer, honestly. And yeah, that's one of the happy moments I had this year. Unfortunately, just a week after that, even just a couple of days after that, I got sick with COVID, which absolutely messed with my mental health. Like, you guys, I was emotionally drained, I felt numb, I felt tired, I felt awful. That was such a bad time because this is gonna be a bit hard to talk about for me because it's something relating to my ex-girlfriend, but I'll tell you guys because on the day that my COVID test was positive, my ex was on the way in the train to visit me, so she had to stay here, and she also caught COVID, and we were both sick, and I took care of her. At least I tried. I kind of did hide how bad I felt, so yeah, but it wasn't so my being sick with COVID wasn't too hard on me physically, but emotionally it was awful. And like, I got COVID the day before my graduation party. I missed my last day of school. I missed my graduation party. I missed saying goodbye to my school. I missed saying goodbye to my classmates and teachers. That was awful. And we also weren't able to do other stuff, fun stuff that we had planned doing. But in the end, I got to do other fun stuff in August, just without my ex, still before we had broken up, but also after we had broken up. And yeah, as I said, being sick with COVID, that messed my emotions so much in my mental state because I had just started getting better emotionally. I stopped feeling numb to positive emotions, then I got sick and it started all over again. It was, oh god, it was awful. This year in general was rough because I am a perfectionist and I wanted to have amazing grades in school this year, and I got amazing grades, but I also had to burn out. And yeah, school obviously was not the only reason. By far it was not the only reason. There was other stuff going on, but that's stuff I don't want to talk about on YouTube. So yeah, I mentioned that I was in a mental hospital back in January. That wasn't the first time, and it also wasn't the only time. My first time being in a mental hospital was back in 2019. I stayed at a mental hospital for 3 months, and it was kind of a weird time of my life, honestly. One of the reasons I went there was the fact that I did not go to school, and if I did go, it was like, I don't know, once a week or twice a week, and then didn't even stay the whole day because I wasn't really in a good space emotionally and mentally, and and that mental hospital didn't help too much with that because they did help make me be more emotionally stable and other stuff that was important for me. But let's say I was stable enough to be at that mental hospital, go to school, get back there, have the rest of my day, but I was not mentally stable enough to stay at home and go to school and do everything. I did try, I did fail, yay, not yay actually, because that was a bad time in my life. I then also had an identity crisis. I had a reality crisis. I don't really know what was going on with me, but there surely was something going on, and then that year just got even worse and awful stuff has happened. And then I had my second stay at a mental hospital at the end of September 2019. So yeah, just a bit after my first day. So that second stay was the first one I was applied for going there like a couple months, I think 2 months prior. until I got to go there with the one I was in in September of 2019. I was an emergency patient, which means I went there. I was on the emergency part of the station, and I was there to become mentally stable again. And it was actually pretty good for me to be there. It did help me for what was going on at that point, and yeah, and a bit after that, I also got to my current therapist, which is nice. And I wanted to say something, but I forgot. Oh yeah, that year also, I had stayed in that mental hospital for a week at that time, by the way. So because I was just an emergency, not there to stay long, just there to be mentally stable again. And a bit after that, I wasn't allowed to go to school anymore because I was mentally unstable, and there was some stuff going on that I don't... let's not talk about that. So in January of 2020, so not too far after, I went to that same mental hospital again as an emergency. I think I stayed for around a week again. Yeah, must have been around a week. I actually didn't like that time being there for multiple reasons. One of them was the fact that they wanted to do a blood test because that's just something you have or had to do. And I have an intense phobia of needles. I didn't want them to take my blood, and they still wanted to do it, but they ended up not doing it. And then I also talked to my therapist there, and I think he ended up it ended up with the fact that I didn't have to do a blood test because I wasn't on any medication, or I didn't do any drugs and all that stuff. So yeah. And then I got home again, and yeah, then COVID started a bit after that was a time. Remember when we thought that would be over soon? Oh god, it's been 2 years. Whatever. And later that year I was allowed to go to school again. So that is something I have briefly mentioned in my last video. So I went to the school I went to first after elementary school. I was there until 8th grade. I had to repeat 8th grade twice because I failed the first time because my mental health started declining a lot that year, so my grades were awful, and I was a really good student before that, by the way. And then the second time I had to repeat because I wasn't at school often enough that year, and I actually failed 8th grade the third time because that year I wasn't allowed to go to school anymore. And I switched school, so I got to go to 9th grade, and I didn't have to do 8th grade another time, which was really nice because that school, the niveau, I think, is a bit lower, so the studying is less intense and stuff. We actually learned stuff in 9th grade that I had learned in 8th grade at the other school, so that's the thing. Yeah, that's kind of that stuff. What else can I talk about? I am in therapy. With my therapist, I also have had a psychiatrist, group therapy, and a psychologist in the past. Let's start with the psychologist that I had. God, was that one awful. Every time I talk about them, I just make fun of them because what the hell was going on in therapy there? So that psychologist, their special field was behavior. that they were just the closest one from where I live, so that's why I went there. They blamed kind of all of my problems on puberty. Well, yes, puberty was one of the reasons I felt bad, because doesn't everyone? I was 13 at that time, by the way. I am 18 now, so it's been like 4 years. It was in 2018, before I had turned 14. And yeah, they blamed my problems on puberty, while that by far was not the only reason. There was stuff I had that was happening in my life that was super obvious because I talked about it, but to that psychologist, it was just my puberty being stupid. Oh, amazing, thanks. Not thanks, actually. Hi guys, Editing Mao here. I am doing a voiceover for a short part of the video because while editing I noticed I have a better way to express what I was talking about at this part of the video. So basically, I can't stand it when people say, oh, you're feeling that bad because of puberty, like in a way that makes the problem seem as if it was less serious, or if it was any less important than other people's problems, because only because they're caused by puberty, it doesn't make the problem or the mental health issue any less serious, because it's still a mental health issue or a problem or whatever. Because that is something I have heard so much in my life. People would talk about me like, yeah, it's because of puberty, that's why she's feeling so bad. No, but yes, it probably was one of the reasons, because, you know, puberty, that's that time, especially in the beginning years, you know. But also, there was a lot of bad stuff happening to me that I was super aware of, and I would talk about that, and people would still say it's because of puberty when it clearly wasn't. So if you experience something similar, or if your problems really are because of puberty, and that's just messing with your head, that is 100% okay, and you still deserve the same treatment and help and being taken serious as someone whose problems are caused by anything else, because you still have problems and you need help with those problems. Also, that psychologist, they were pretty weird when it came to... So one thing I specifically remember was when I told them about a friend I had at that time who I had not talked to for, I think it was 2 weeks, because there was just nothing to talk about, and also because I was starting to lose interest. Because of my mental health problems, I was losing interest in stuff that was fun to me, and I also was distancing myself from friends, and I stopped having things in common with that friend, especially interests. And when I told my psychologist about that, they just told me to end that friendship. Like, what the hell? Like, excuse me? Looking back, that friend wasn't a good person for me, and I am not friends with them anymore. But the reason being not having that many things in common anymore and not having talked for 2 weeks, that is not a good reason to end a friendship for me personally, because I can still have a good friendship with someone even if there's not like 20 common interests, you know what I mean? You can still be cool people to each other in your life. You don't have to be the closest friends ever, but still can be friends. And yeah, I think the reason for them wanting me to end that friendship is because it was an internet friend, and that psychologist didn't really think highly of them, as I remember. Awesome. Yeah. Also, a lot of therapy sessions would be that the psychologist would ask me a question, I didn't know an answer to that, I would shrug my shoulders or say, I don't know. But they would refuse to continue talking to me until I would give an answer. That was really weird, because to most questions I just didn't know an answer to, and I didn't know what else to talk about, because hey, they're my psychologists, they're supposed to know how to go on, because if they ask one question and I don't know an answer to it, I don't think I have to sit there for 10 minutes and just not talk. I think one time we just sat there in silence for 30 minutes. What? Yeah, that was weird. I think in my last therapy session with them, it went that way too, so they like did not talk to me and I just sat there crying. I often cried when they wouldn't talk to me because I was just being super emotional and felt bad, and I had this pressure on me to have to answer something when I just didn't know. And and at the end of that last session, they told me, yeah, we're not continuing therapy, there's no way going with you, I'm gonna call your parents, we're stopping. And they kind of told me that I'm a bad person towards my friends and whatever. I don't know what at that point in life I did that would make them think that way, because my friends told me I am not an awful person to them, but my psychologist apparently thought so. And yeah, because of that experience with that psychologist, I thought I would not need therapy anymore, because I didn't know what good therapy was like. So when I was asked if I wanted to go to therapy, I would say no, I don't need that. Spoiler, I did need therapy, and around a year later, I think like 10 months later, I stayed at a mental hospital for the first time. So while I was at my psychologist, I also had a psychiatrist who I honestly don't remember what they did back then, because I was not taking any medication or anything. If I remember correctly, they diagnosed me with something, or at least we talked about how I felt, and they came to the conclusion of what is going on with me, but I never got a proper diagnosis like on a letter or whatever, or any documents, until a year later when I stayed at a mental hospital. And I remember at my psychiatrist there was group therapy for social skills, and I went there for a bit. I think I started in fall of 2018, and I went there that whole year. At the time when I was at the mental hospital, I did not go there because it was too far away, but after and before that I always went. It was once a week. And also on I stopped going to group therapy in October 2019, I think, because we got a new therapist for the group therapy, and I didn't like them. I didn't like the way they I just didn't click with their personality, you know. With a therapist you have to click, and that did not happen with them. And in general, I didn't like the way they did group therapy. I didn't really feel comfortable there. In general, I was going through something awful back then that might have played a role with that too. But anyways, I stopped going to group therapy, but luckily around that time when I stopped that, I got a new therapist who is still my therapist today, because he is a really good therapist and has helped me a lot. And I've been in therapy with him for almost 3 years, which, damn, that's a long time. And he has helped me a lot. I am glad to have found a therapist who is a great help to me in many different ways. He's just the way a therapist has to be. So I'm at a point where I don't really know what to talk about anymore regarding my own experiences. So let me ask you guys some questions. I honestly have no idea what to ask. What do you guys do for comfort? That's a great question. What's something that always comforts you or helps you and makes you feel better or lets you get out some pressure? For me, it's drawing. And also I have comfort characters like my OC Dynamite and Jake, and also Reagan Avataka from Mob Psycho 100. He is one of my main comfort characters at the moment, honestly. Yeah, that's some stuff I have comfort in. And also another question. What can I ask? I don't know, maybe I'll have some ideas for questions. So if you struggle with mental health, I know it's super hard, but please try to find someone you can trust a bit and maybe even get therapy. That's like something about the USA with healthcare and stuff, so therapy might be expensive for you and maybe you can't afford it, which is bad. There's this website called 7 Cups of Tea that I used to be on a while ago, like 2 to 4 years ago. I sometimes went there. There you can anonymously chat with a stranger and they can give you some advice and you can just vent. Just if you're too afraid to find someone in real life or whatever and want to get something out of your mind, that is something I used to do. It used to help me. I don't go on there anymore. I just stopped at some point. And yeah, but you can meet really cool people on there who will give you some advice or just listen to you if you don't want any advice. And yeah, but therapy with an actual therapist is like one of the best things ever. And you don't need to have like a mental health condition, like a disorder or anything to go to therapy. You feeling bad and needing help that's all you need to go to therapy. You know, that's what therapists are there for, to help you. You guys might notice that I am sometimes cutting off a couple parts of this video because sometimes I just go silent and don't know what to talk about anymore. Because sometimes I'm kind of at a loss for words or I just need to think a bit about it. And yeah, also I'm almost done with this page. Nice. So yeah, what else am I gonna talk about for the last couple of minutes? Oh yeah, so back when I was at the mental health hospital and even outside of the mental hospital, I have met people with various different mental health problems. I have experience with my own and I have seen other people with what they're struggling, and I sometimes try to help them, but honestly I can't do that anymore. Since I just, because of the breakup, let's say, that's so easy to say, but I just kind of was at a loss for words again. Because when I feel bad about that and I just can't help people at the moment. I tried listening to people to just let them vent to me, and so I'll just read their messages, but I don't feel that's something I'm capable of doing, and that is totally fine. Sometimes I feel bad about it, but I need to remind myself that I am not a therapist. I am not responsible for I don't have to be there for people. Of course, it's nice to be there for your friends when you can and offer them advice or a shoulder to cry on or to just have a place to vent. But I notice I'm just not capable of doing that. And if you're not capable of doing that either, that is 100% fine, because you know what? It is not your job. It's not my job. It's not your job. We are not therapists. And yeah, I try to still send my friends when I see them going through rough stuff to that I try to send them a nice message, like something like, hey, stay strong, you can do this, or I try to be sympathetic by saying, oh, that sounds rough, I hope it gets better, just stuff like that. I've also had people come to me trying to look for help or advice, but then I have to say no and say that I cannot do that, and that is also okay to do. I've had to tell friends, hey, I can't be there for you. Something else I sometimes do to try comfort friends is, or just do something nice, maybe put a smile on someone's face, is that when I come across a video on Instagram Reels or like a post that says something like, hey, you're going so strong, you're still here, you're going through something rough, but you're still doing your best. I send that kind of stuff to friends. I think so far I've only sent that kind of stuff to 2 friends, because I know that is stuff I like to hear when people say that stuff to me. And also that is something I am bad at telling my friends in my own words, but so just sending them a video like that or a post that is nice. The people I've sent that stuff to, they were happy about that. Or like, yeah, they appreciated it. That was nice. So since we're coming to an end with this video, I want to say, I'm also gonna put this in the description and make a pinned comment about it, but if you are going to share experiences of yours or say anything, please pay attention to not make the comment too heavy. If you're talking about stuff similar to what I talked about in this video, that is totally fine, but please keep in mind to not write any triggering stuff, because that's something I might not be comfortable with reading, I guess, because my comment section, I don't want this comment section to be venting, I guess. I mean, this video is kind of me venting, but also not. It's just mainly sharing experiences, and that's what I want the comments to be like too, for you guys to share some experiences, but not to explicitly vent, because I am not a mental health professional, as I've said, and I cannot help you guys. Please look for a trusted person, and if you can, go to therapy. And if you don't click with your therapist, it is totally fine to look for another one. That just happens in life. And if there's any comments that I think are too heavy for this comment section, I might delete or hide, depending. I don't know if you can hide comments, but I might delete them. But I don't think you guys are going to comment something awful, like or something way too heavy, you know. Yeah, mental health is just a big part of my life and a big part of other people's lives. Oh, I remembered something I wanted to talk about a couple minutes ago. So one of the things that mean incredibly much to me is when people tell me that they're proud of me, especially if they're proud of me for any mental health related achievement. I don't know, it just means so much, and sometimes I think about people telling me that they're proud of me, and it just makes me feel really good, because it makes me see that people do realize I am not having a good time, but still fighting through it, and also that I am fighting through and have fought through everything in life. And some things I cannot process, let's be honest, but I can still accept that they have happened to me, and that I can't undo any of these bad things that have happened to me or that I might have done to other people. And that's obviously not nice, but it's still something that happened, and I can accept that being a part of me, because I don't think I'm a bad person. I really try my best, and my therapist has also told me that I am one of the most it's kind of hard to explain, but I am one of the most not having to feel guilty about what they've done person, because I think so much about my actions and what is good and what is not good for other people, and that I really try to get better from all the mistakes I've made in the past, and that I see my mistakes that I've made in the past, and I am still going to make mistakes in the future, because that's just a part of being human. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to say today. I have finished drawing this page. If you've watched all of this, or maybe you skipped through the video, whatever, but if you've watched at least a bit of this, thank you very much for listening to this, because this is a important topic to me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If I'm going to answer to those comments, but if I know I will, I can talk more about that. I might just talk about it in the next sketchbook session. I'm gonna try to make these videos as often as I feel like it, and yeah, that's all. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. Stay strong. Bye.